Hi everyone, so my name is Kenneth. Today, who we have next to us is Jamie.
Hello.
This is the very first time Jamie is coming on live today. So most important is, maybe I can share a little bit of how I think of Jamie before we met. You guys have seen me all around, maybe everywhere. But for Jamie, right, so we are all from PropNext under Sean Lai.
Yeah, Sean Lai.
Alright. So basically, like, my impression of Jamie was someone that is very, very low profile. Very humble, okay? Because before I met him, honestly, I don't know he existed. I mean, that's what I feel lah. Correct? 不是 sales 不好，就低调。我觉得 like 就是那种我们所谓高调做事，低调做人呢，对不对？I mean, that's what I feel. So basically, I didn't really know Jamie until one day, suddenly in the group chat, someone posted, "Congratulations to Jamie for closing 5 beta at Wharton House." Then that was where, honestly, this is very real. I was like, wow, 这个 Jamie 是谁啊? You know, I start to be very curious. Fast forward was how I really get to know Jamie was when I kept seeing all your resale closing pop up. From my understanding is that you're also helping your sellers, right? These clients selling their place to achieve record-breaking prices at that time.
Yeah.
Right? From my understanding, you also sold your own Park Star, and at that point in time, it was also the record price.
Yes.
Then I thought to myself, I honestly sat down and then think there must be something about this person that he knows something that I definitely don't know lah. Because I mean, to be able to sell record price is not easy. Everyone out there today say I'm selling a record price, but for yourself, being able to achieve that over and over again, I think that is something that everyone would like to know, right? Be it whether you are a homeowner, be it whether you are also an agent. I think we all want to, level up, right? So other than that, of course, how we initially really connected was one day Jamie just reached out to me, say, "Hey, Kenneth, I got this listing. Do you think that we can work something out together?" So apparently there's this 4-bedroom, right?
Yes.
At
Penrose.
Yes, correct. Very beautiful Penrose. All it took was one shoot. Actually, we didn't spend much time to shoot that unit. It was easy, right? But the key thing is that after that we had like more conversations, and when we have a lot of like seated down sessions, I think my whole view my whole perspective actually shifted. Can you imagine? Just one session. It was the one that we had Western.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not Western, Chinese.
Yeah, the Chinese cuisine, right?
Cuisine,
So that was when I started wondering, wow, 我以为我知道的东西 maybe 其实只是冰山一角. Whatever I know is maybe just that little bit. But I mean, whatever Jamie shared with me really shifted my whole perspective. And honestly, I think we clicked immediately. So it's not just myself, but even I think the team, right, that you have met so far, be it Eddie, be it Sean, we really became friends. And honestly, all this happened within a short span of time.
I think less than 6 weeks. 6 weeks ago.
6 weeks. It feels fast. Yeah. But then of course that's where we have started having ideas bouncing all around, and that is what I feel, right? So of course, what I feel is that Jamie has also really admired the team, right? Maybe you can share a little bit more about that.
I noticed that your team has something that I like of that the energy level of keep on working, and then you also have a very established, even though it's just a small team, you have a very established individual that are competitive in their own area. So that is something that I like of. So I thought, maybe I could value add to you all on my part, and then you all can help me on my part, which I'm lacking as well.
Whatever Jamie has provided to the team at Kennethville and Associates, right? This KYA team, I think really everyone 有目共睹. We can all see that, and that's the reason why today I got Jamie here, because as much as he has helped us, I think we just want to give back. I think that's what we are all about, right? So we try to make it real, really real talk and real value. So these are some stuff that I can share with you. Like I mentioned to you, not many agents today do live stream. All right, and in fact, this is Jamie's first ever live stream.
Right.
Jamie, how are you feeling so far? Okay, ma?
很紧张 but okay, first of all, thank you for having me here. And you're right, this is my first live stream. So, but the truth is, I've always been very afraid of putting myself out there. The fear can feel enormous. The fear of being judged, the fear of I'm not being good enough, or losing the credibility if I don't put on a facade. But today, I choose to be here, even though right now my heart's racing a little.
我帮你 feel 一下 Okay.
But more than anything, right, I'm just grateful to be a part of this, to share what I've learned over the years. And if everyone watching can walk away with just one takeaway that you all could use, that would mean a lot to me.
Today, right, what we're going to be talking about is how Singapore's private property scene quietly exploded over the 2 decades, right? Aside from that would be, to get Jamie to show how the real estate, which we'll be discussing, right, how the real estate journey for many wealthy families began years ago, right? And long before they were who they are today, and why affordability today feels tougher than 2011. right? And what does that really mean for most of us? And how, most important thing, this is why I got to emphasize, how to cut through the noise, right? We plan with facts and move without fear. So no fluff, no crystal ball. What we're going to be talking about will be real numbers, real stories especially, and a clear framework to help you plan ahead. Earlier on that, you actually had your first property back in 2004.
Yes.
Right? So in 2004, with less than 20k cash plus CPF, eventually upgraded to 2 private properties and that sold for a total combined value of $4 million. I think that's something that, wow, something for us to learn from. And of course today people ask, how is that relatable to me? Definitely there are things that we can take away from, right? Now the show is yours. Share with us how you actually got started and along the way, what were the steps you took, shall we?
My property journey started when I was 22 years old. So before that, my parents had never owned a property before, not even a HDB flat. My sister and I, we all grew up living in a rented 3-room flat in Boon Lay. Growing up in that kind of situation, right, my sister and I dreamt of owning our own property, a place we could truly call home. It all began in 2004, 1 year after I signed on with the army. So the benefit as a regular allows to only pay 10% down payment using CPF without any cash. At the time, due to oversupply, the BTO scheme didn't exist yet. Instead, it was like called a walk-in selection. So basically, my sister brought me to the exhibition, pick up our choice unit, and get our keys something like 3 or 4 months later. So as you can see, my intention was not about buying to sell for a profit. It was simply to fulfill the basic need of owning a home. Fast forward to 2008, I joined the real estate after I ORD. And I was really touching the surface of what real estate is about. By 2011, right, I decided to sell that HDB and use the proceeds to fully pay for a 3-room BTO in Fernvale. My thinking back then was to avoid a mortgage if possible, to pay off the flat that was enough for me and my mom, because my sister got married and got her own place after that. So this was especially important during that period as I was facing challenges at work, still new, and plus the expenses for my dad's medical needs were also weighing on me. And then I remember my mom and I, we got lucky with a good queue number. So both of us went down to the HDB, paid the $1,000 and picked up a nice high floor north-facing unit. And during the waiting period after we paid the $1,000 and before the final appointment, right, there's this EC in Punggol launch that is called Privé.
Wait, so, wow, I don't know about you guys, but I think, certain things that I could really relate to a lot of us, right? When we mentioned about just to fulfill the basic needs of owning a home, I think we could all relate to that. Like, even my parents' generation, to them it's the same. I just get a place, so long, we all have a roof above our head. Then we just let it be long. We wouldn't think so much. House was really very simple, a very simple necessity back then. What you mentioned was along the way there were a lot of like family stuff and everything. So I honestly think that it's not easy. So I mean, if you guys could relate, right? I think continue listening. I think there's so much more we can learn from Jamie. Am I right?
No, I'm just trying to reenact the whole entire process. Maybe I'm not some geniuses out there. And then back at the time, the EC launched, and then I was in the dilemma whether to choose to proceed with the BTO or then to go for the EC. So I decided to go for the EC, even though I have to take on a huge mortgage without knowing if I could keep up with the payments. And I didn't fully understand the real estate dynamic back then, you see. But I knew that the first few ECs that in Bishan and Ang Mo Kio, especially those close to the MRT, right, were sold at a significant gain. So that actually enticed me. I decided to take the leap of faith, forfeit the BTO, and then go for the 3+ study unit in Privé. So, but then eventually that choice that I made, right, actually pushed me forward to work even harder, and my income also improved over time. And then, as you can see, subsequently, I got married to my wife, Adele, in 2013. And in 2019, after saving up enough, right, she bought a 4-bedroom unit in Park Esta. And we rent out first and eventually sold all our properties, with the last one going last year. So even after selling my HDB, EC, and Park Esta, prices kept rising. And those units always hit a new high after I sold, even though I transacted record back at the time. Anyone who are listening right now can actually relate to my decision why I have no regrets. Because time in the market to me matters way more than timing the market. If I had not sold the HDB when I did, right, I might not have the enough funds or opportunity to buy the EC, and then the next EC that comes out will be more expensive, right? And I'm sure Singapore's standard of living will also keep on improving. So whatever last property I sold could have continued to appreciate. But why do I make that step? Decided to sell. I'm 42 this year, or last year I was 41. If I waited for another 5 or 8 years, I would be 50, and then it will be tougher for me to buy again. Till then, the property prices will be even more out of reach, but I won't be able to get a longer tenure that I wish, and so my monthly commitment will be overwhelming if I reach that age. So my choices back then, like skipping the BTO for EC in 2011, were all about moving forward at the right moment for me.
What I really, learned from whatever he has shared so far would be, really moving forward. Am I right to say that yes, it will be a bit tougher sometimes, but you still continue to move forward. I think that's the very important thing. So honestly, the kind of conversations we had earlier on really inspire me. We have met for multiple times, right? And really inspired me to start focusing on private property. I mean, yes, let's truth be told, whatever happened during the COVID period, like what Jamie always mentioned to me, 有可能就是所谓的一去不返. We may not see it again. But one thing for sure is that, time in the market is always better than trying to time them. There's no way we can time the market, let's be honest. Right? So how we all started was that, Jamie, myself, right? Eddie, Sean, we shared the needs of clients over like a few sessions, even Adele also, right? Over our lunch or whatever session that we had. So we also spoke about the insights about the market, and with your help, Sean and you really came together and put together a very nice presentation deck that honestly today, guys, I'm very proud to share that within a short period, okay, this deck helped several buyers to make confident decisions, and just in 2 months they went on to purchase their private homes, and even for some of them it was their very first step into the private market. So yeah, I think that part itself, I just want to say, take this moment, okay, really thank Adele, thank Jamie, right, for believing in the team and for coming out with this together so that we could work something out.
I'm so surprised by the speed of how things evolve. And after sharing all about my path, I have to say I'm really impressed with the deck that your team has put together. It breaks things down so simply and clearly, even for someone like me who has been through it a couple of times. If I had something like that back then, it would make all the big decisions look less scary. And then on that, I think you guys have done a great job, and that I believe is going to help a lot of people out there as well.
Thank you very much. It shows that whatever effort we have been doing so far, for someone like Jamie to also have good words about it, I think it will really push us to be better.
Right. And then since we are on live right now, could you also share again what are the projects which your team has successfully helped your clients to purchase? And what are the factors that really make them tick? What make them choose you over other agents who are also competent?
It has been a very exciting 2 months at KYA. So we guided several clients through their upgrades, closing deals on 4 projects. So which are the projects that we actually closed? Bloomsbury in One North, Sky at Holland in the central area, Grand Dunman in the east, and Canberra Crescent up north. So the question is, what made them choose us? So it wasn't just the properties, okay? So it's the sense of clarity and confidence that we built together. When the customers came to us, okay, they were honestly very overwhelmed. Like many others, okay, second guessing if they were overpaying, worried about the resale down the line, or they're just plainly scared of making the move in the market. So basically, our MAPS framework does that job for them. So there was no fancy talk. We really cut through the noises, show them the real picture, and suddenly, they see the next step very clearly. So there was no more worrying, no more second guessing, nothing. For example, right, we talk about Bloomsbury. Okay, I can share with you a little bit more. So this couple, right, before meeting us, the clients felt uncertain about whether to upgrade, while they still had the financial ability to do so. So they were very hesitant about new launches, and honestly, they were also believing that that prices were too high, and the agents that they met previously could not fully address the deeper concerns that they had. So after engaging us, they found that our framework was really very clear. So it provided them with clarity and objectivity, helping them to understand the market in a very structured way. So through our detailed financial analysis and clear comparison between the resale as well as the new launches, they quickly gained confidence that new launches are not necessarily overpriced or risky. The deepest impression they had on us was how our approach transformed uncertainty into clarity. So they felt reassured by our professionalism, our deep understanding of the market pulse, and how our ability, to help them prevent from making misguided decisions. So that was something that make them felt different. As for Sky at Holland, the Sky at Holland buyers were very interesting. So they were a BTO 5-room family upgrader. So of course, in Woodlands, so they know that they were sitting on good profit, and they know exactly what they want, which was asset progression. So they were sitting on very healthy HDB profits, like I shared with you, right? And they were ready to move. But to them was, at that month, there were many launches. So we had Penreef, we had Zion Grand, we had Sky basically it was chaos, right? So there were a lot of noises everywhere. But of course, Sky launched first, and guess what's their ballot number?
1,000.
So it was oversubscribed, we know. So total there was 666 units. So their number was 664. We were very clear what was the walkaway price. We have done our homework, and we knew the floor price, the strategy, as well as the exit. Jimmy asked you, what do you think would be the OCR prices for next year?
I think should be less launches as today.
Yes.
Please correct me if you all think that I make a mistake here. But that's what I remember. And Zion Grand this year in RCR, right? The land price was about 1,200 per square foot. Their average selling price was 3,050. And if we look at next year, just a few plots of a lot will be RCR or CCR.
Yes.
But will only be a few OCR. I remember OCR next year there will be Lakeside. Lakeside land was sold for 1,132 per square foot, which is just like a couple of $10 below what Zion Grand was transacted.
That's true.
And the Bayshore, the news is flooding around that it will be cheap, right? Because their land cost is 1,380.
Yes.
So potentially the lesser supply of new launches, especially for OCR, right? That leaves OCR with a handful of options. And when we look at the land price, so you may still get something to be honest, you may still get something at 2,002 or 2,003, provided the developer are willing to sell at that price. And if you know that the demand for OCR, because most of us Singaporeans, we stay in OCR.
Correct.
Are competing for the few 3 or 4, or maybe slightly more than that for the whole of next year. What would you think that those developers who could sell 2,002, how much will they sell? And if demand became overwhelming, we could quite confidently say that Bayshore already will be selling above 2,800. Just like what Jayden was transacted also 2 years ago. Their 2-bedroom high floor also go for 2,008. It's all about supply and demand and the location. So the same narrative of RCR this year hitting above 3,000. It's the same thing. It's just that you put the RCR story into next year OCR.
Exactly. Yeah. So basically this was what my clients saw as well. So next year, OCR, probably the price is going to start at about 2,008. And today we're going at 3,001. So to them it was very safe. And here's the wildest part. Okay, I never shared with Jamie before. Okay, so basically, can you imagine the booking day itself for Sky at Holland, both my buyers were overseas. So I was on the ground. On the booking day, it was pure stressful.
Are they your parents?
No, not my parents. Correct. So they were my clients. So honestly, the choices was vanishing left and right. Like, wow, you can imagine. So we were on the Zoom, right? Me in the sales gallery, while they were in the cars, they were in the States with 7 hours time difference, midnight, okay, on a 7 hours drive, okay. So exhausted, and units flashing so like. So agent was shouting, Then I was doing Zoom with them holding a mobile phone. I was like, hey, this one's sold. But not really say to my surprise, but I'm still surprised, I would say. So these clients, they were very calm, composed. And the final moment came when I stepped in. So the developer asked over the Zoom. So it was like this, okay? So this is the developer here, right? Let's say confirm. So the husband was like, exactly, I tried to mimic, okay? Confirm. Wow. So there was no panic. So from that, he was very calm throughout. So despite it being so, he knew exactly what was the walkaway price. He knew exactly what was our strategy. So I would say it's done. So there was no panic, no second guessing. Just trust in the plan, right? In the numbers, in the process, and that's what the MAPS framework does. Okay, we turn pressure into precision. As for Grand Dunman, so this was, I would say, pure clarity in motion. Technically, we didn't really do much. So we help our clients, right? So we spot a stack, okay, at about $2,300 per square foot in the RCR. While the other projects, other units within the same development, okay, were going at about 2,500 or even higher. So they didn't think, because they were very confident. They knew this was already in their pocket already. So this is the value that they have been looking out for. So let me ask you a question. Very easy. If you have two projects, one is a 12-year-old project and one is a new project, the old project is going at $2,200 per square foot, while the new project going at 2,003 per square foot. Which one will you choose?
Are we under the context of Grand Dunman?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, okay. I personally have been focusing on District 14, 15, 16 over the past many years. And in fact, before we even met, right, those setup projects like EOK, what's the average price? 2,700, 2,800.
Correct.
Kind of continuum freehold at Thamsiu, hitting as high as 3,000, 3,000 plus. So I already identified two projects that is going to TOP soon, equally brand new, but at 2003. So I brought my respective friends, and one of them is actually my brother-in-law, to purchase it. To me, the price gap is already a gain there. But we let this sink in for a moment. Even if we buy it higher, and we bought something that is like, no need to wait say a few months later TOP, versus something that you have to wait for 3 to 4 years. The opportunity cost is what matters to me most. It's also why I keep on moving forward. So if you ask me this question, I will definitely go for the 2003, whereas the neighboring is already selling higher. And of course, it will be a new project versus the resale, like what you say, not even in Waterbank and Dakota. If you check the older project, Dakota Residences is also selling quite high. So it's, to me, everyone here, if you bring out your math or thinking, you will be able to understand what I'm trying to arrive at.
Correct. Exactly what the clients also felt. So right next door, right? So Waterbank and Dakota, a 12-year-old project, a 4-bedroom unit already transacting at 2,227 per square foot. So you guys can go and check out about that. So to get Grand Dunman about 2003, it was like a no-brainer for them. So it was brand new, better location, same size, with $2,300 per square foot locked in. So there was no debate. So, and most importantly, there was no FOMO spiral. That's the gap that they see. They knew the exit, and they took that action. The surprising thing is what? One more surprise I tell you. This one I never tell you before. So the clients, right? They had their PR approved in the morning. Can you imagine? And they bought in the afternoon. That was how fast,
ridiculous,
how clear. I think through your 17 years, maybe you never even encountered those before, right? 有没有啊?
1.7 million years 也不懂有没有了.
Correct. So I don't know. So you guys know why the market is moving. I think this will go down into the books for me lah. Like forever, I'll remember this client because they were so clear leh. And we're talking about $4.4 million. Right. And to make such quick decisions, they knew what they want. Okay, so last but not least, right, was Canberra Crescent. They didn't reach out to us right after the live. So you guys know, right, by now they are also one of our clients from our live stream. They just sat quietly, okay, just watching. And at one point, they took screenshot of the maps slide, our framework, right? And my number was there, so that's it. So there was no message, no follow-up. So guess what happened?
Nothing happened. No message. No follow-up.
Nothing happened. But 2 weeks later, a text came. So they just texted and then just say, hey, I kept looking at that slide. It kept them thinking. So we finally met. So I walked them through the framework. The same framework that we have always been sharing about. So, the macro, the area, the price gap, the site development that we talk about. So, of course, there was no agenda. It's just to really share with them, just having a pure, normal conversation. So, they listened very closely to what, I was sharing. They started asking questions that they never really voiced before. Then, what happened was, the next day, we went to visit the show flat, and they actually made that decision that day. Not because of any persuasion, but because the framework gave them the clarity and confidence that they have always been missing. So that's the part that stays with me, knowing that, for a moment, this moment of quiet understanding can really shift someone's path.
I mean, that's encouraging to hear. Allow me to share how I see it. Client don't choose your team because of hype or pushing one project over another. But from what I hear, they choose you because you stay grounded. You show them the full picture and help them land on the decision that fits their life, not yours. And this is very important. Okay. They stay because your framework gives them the emotional anchor. It's like handing them a roadmap out of anxiety, from should we to we are ready. I personally experience it myself, especially when I help someone make their purchase. So to me, it's not about the value or whatsoever. It's about the connection, the bond that meant more to me than anything else. So when buyers feel truly seen and supported, right, the decision just flow. No need to force, no fear, just clarity. And I believe that's the difference.
Just like how you forge your relationship with your clients, that's exactly how you're doing with me. Like all the times that we have spent together, it hasn't been long, but it was very deep. A lot of we just have a lot of connection, I felt. And it takes two hands to clap, okay? Cannot be 我的热脸贴他冷屁股, right? 他也要认识我啦. So this is where things start to get exciting. So next one will be the biggest concern. Okay, so I just want to take this time to share a bit on, after me speaking to Jamie, what was my takeaway? The fact that his take on the market was simple and clear. It's a very big thing, it's a big ticket item, but for him to deliver in such a simple and clear manner was something that has always blown me away. Okay, that's how we actually turn messy ideas into something that really anyone can understand. I remember we still had that lunch, we really talked about ideas, and that's where me, Jamie, Eddie, Adele, Sean, the five of us sitting down, and then we just went back and forth, hey, this, that. But so then we went back, and what was interesting is that we started building on the slide, right? So we really know okay, what are we gonna be doing? We never really communicate, but everyone knew we had to do something. Then after this slide came out, and that's where the audience, right, really, you guys have been seeing it. Of course, we are improving this on a constant basis. We want to always keep improving ourselves because market is always shifting. If we are not moving along with the market, we will get left behind. I think this really credit go to Sean as well as Eddie. I don't know if he's inside here listening, but really from the bottom of my heart, 真的谢谢你们.
Maybe you can say that I see things in a very clear, very simple manner. But my mind is always chaotic one. I tend to overthink things a lot. I'm always wondering what are people concerned, you see. So from what I've gathered, right, there are always these 4 doubts that is circling one. So number one is whether the prices will crash or not. Or what happens if interest rate go up and we cannot manage our mortgage. And what if they feel that current prices are too high? And then the last one will be whether if they are fear that they choose the wrong project, you see. That's why I'm honored to be here today, just to walk through these worries with all of you, like what I have done in my own head for years. So before you share with us your slides, may I also have your view on the current market and opinions on these worries?
I think it's the same for many others, right? I mean, 我们也是人, okay? Agents are also human. So I also used to worry about the same issues like prices too high, right? The risk of the market crashing, interest rate going up, okay? And what happens if I pick the wrong property? So we have to really understand, the views on how we view this property market. It can be quite personal sometimes. So if you ask me as a real estate agent, okay, I could have used data like what I did with my deck, okay, to piece it together and look at how incomes have increased over the recent years. Plus the fact that our population increased up to 6.11 million, right, in this year. So supply remains tight with low unsold inventory. Most important thing is that there are also more wealthy families coming to Singapore, settling down through, say, home office or investment. And all this help to explain why current prices are holding really well. And next year, okay, developers are paying higher land costs, like the recent tenders hitting new highs in areas such as our OCR, like what Jamie mentioned, at 1,388 per square foot per plot ratio for Bayshore. We can expect the new launches to reflect, that the prices are going to be even much steeper. So that is how I view about it, right?
Right. So you see, you already say, I'm an agent, that's why I can come up with this. So that's why I come to understand that not everyone see it that way. It depends on where we stand. So take 2 groups, for example. Those who have sold at a profit, upgraded, and now holding appreciating assets. This group of people tends to feel more assured. Even without needing to dive into any market details. So they are ready to go on and on. So imagine if you are the first group of people, and then you're already your third or fourth or second time that's selling a property, and your current property, you will be sold at a profit. So what happened? What will you do after you sell your current property?
I will immediately be out there looking for the next one to enter back in.
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. But have you think before or not? There's the other side, like people who haven't gone through it, or those whose sales proceeds actually fall short of their next dream home. And these people, they often, the later group, I'm saying, often carry doubts and fears, leading them to dig around for reassurance that their money is going to the right spot, right? With this group, I can only think of, at the heart of it, the real issue is just one thing, it's fear. The fear of a bad call, which boils down to whether you can handle the mortgage long term or not. So I put myself in their shoes, right? I've gone through those markets ups and down myself, like before TDSR kicked in back in 2013, when property market is much more volatile, right?
Yes.
That period. How did it really affect me? As a matter of fact, I can't even recall paying much attention to it, because firstly, my EC came with a 5-year MOP during the time when market is down. So I have to stay put and live with it anyway. Why it didn't really affect me is because I was fine with the monthly installment. So I was thinking, I just pay lor.
没有想那么多啦。
But of course you can say that time I bought my EC is only 800,000 how much would that installment be? But later when my wife purchased the Park Star in 2019, right? And then after that what happened? COVID, 对不对? And then market actually came down a bit. But what makes matter worse is after we bought like 2-3 years, it started to TOB, then we have to refinance. And then we refinance at the peak of the interest rate. So before we can really feel what has hit us, right? The next moment the market recover again. And then it recover with vigor. So my take on this is, instead of speculating the market, right? So when we speculate, rather than adopting a more prudent approach, the first question is not like how we can manage our finances. It's like 买什么不会输钱，买什么会赚钱. So these are speculating mindset. So instead of speculating the market, right? Why not just use a solid framework, one that builds in prudence, provide assurance, and offer a peace of mind to weather any surprises along the way.
That's true. I think what we have just addressed are the biggest concerns that it has been asked many times, right? So the next part we're going to be talking about will be the market's insight. Most important is that the exponential increase in private property ownership. Something that just maybe you guys have not paid attention. I never wouldn't bother, right? Wouldn't think about how would it affect you. So maybe we can get Jimmy to share more about this portion.
Actually, for the past 15 years, I also never noticed until I went to the SingStat and start to analyze the data a little bit. And I realized actually many Singaporeans already started their wealth assets progression through property years ago. So long before some of us even thought about it. Today when we look at the numbers, right, it's quite eye-opening, and people have been quietly upgrading, and the gap is closing fast. So maybe Kenneth can run us through
no
what
problem.
we actually mean.
This is the ratio of the dwellings, right? So currently standing at 77.6%, which is our HDB, this big portion. Then other than that will be 17.7%, which is our condominium, and then of course the remaining will be our landed. So back in 2005, Singapore had 880,000 HDB units and only 156,000 of private units. And that's roughly about 85% HDB, okay, and 15% private. So now if we fast forward to 2004, if we see for HDB units, okay, 880,000, it grew by 261,000 to 1.142 million. So this is 30% growth. Okay, that's first thing. Second thing, if you look at the private, okay, 156,000 to 366,000. So that is a growth of how many? 134%. In just 20 years, private housing supply grew more than 2 times faster than HDB. And the population? So only up by 21%, from 3.47 million to 4.18 million residents. So yes, the stock is still 77% HDB, roughly about there, and private is about 17.7%, but the growth tells the real story, right? So focus on the growth portion. So private ownership is catching up at a lightning speed, and many have already made the move. quietly, all right, and steadily, while many of us, are just trying to start on this part.
That's why now we are seeing that there are a lot of people sitting on strong gains today because they have been quietly accumulating their wealth through property. Maybe I share a more personal example. Back in 2011, right, when I bought my 3+ study in Privé for about 800,000, so the down payment was roughly 20%, plus stamp duty, maybe 160 plus.
Somewhere at that point in time, TDSR what? 80%, right? Loan to value 80%.
Yeah, I think if I remember correctly,
Correct.
I don't know 80 or 85. Yeah, all in all, lesser than 200,000. Okay, so that amount came from the profit I sell.
Your HDB.
My HDB, yes. So even for other families that time, with a combination of CPF and savings, could have afforded that sum if they had taken the same leap. So that 800 home would be worth around 1.7 million today, or about 1.4 just 2 years ago. So that's a profit of 900,000 over 11 years, which works out to be around 80,000 a year, and an ROE of roughly 562%, and about 7% annual growth based on the property value. Those numbers on supply and demand really hit home, I would say. Private properties have been the quiet wealth builder for so many. But let's imagine if we could have jumped back in the past, it felt doable then. But hindsight shows how much has changed there. And that's why maybe the next slide, Kenneth, will walk us through on affordability. What are the affordability in the past and now? How has it changed?
Back in 2004, the property prices at $600,000.
So the average 3-room.
Yeah, correct. You see, so this slide is trying to share about, the plain simple, it's all about the what I could have, I should have, So back in 2004, the average monthly household income was around $6,000. So annually about 72,000. So a typical private condo at that point in time is about 600,000. So the median resale prices are hover at like we mentioned about 600,000. So that means that the property to income ratio was roughly about 8.33%.
8.33 times.
Yeah, 8.33 times, sorry. 8.33 times. So yes, it is tough, but like what you mentioned, many families, if they scrape together, the down payment from the CPF and savings could still make it work. So home buyers back then, without, they didn't have to second guess like what we do now. Okay. So fast forward to 2024, the average household income is about 13,000 right now. Right? So, or 156,000 in a year if you say, okay, a very decent jump honestly. But the private property medians, they are currently sitting at $1.88 million. So if we compare to the ratio right now, boom, 12.05 times. Okay, so basically the prices have climbed. The prices have climbed about 125% since 2011 up till now. Okay, while income only grew by about 55%. So it's why so many look back. Many people look back and say, wow, 早知道，每天就讲早知道 right? We could have started earlier, right? Build the equity step by step, and not to beat ourselves up, but to see the opportunity today. Even with the stretch, time in the market still compounds. But for those who acted back then, they are reaping it now. So it makes me reflect, doesn't it?
Right. I think it does. So those who could afford it back then are held back by the same fears we are seeing today. So, and now the same group of people who are held back by the same fear are watching others pulling away.
The conditions may have changed, okay, but the same fear remains constant. Now, here's the next topic. Will market crash? Many people has been asking time and time again. I think we get thrown this question many times, be it from agent to agent, right, or be it client to agent. So, everybody has been asking that. So then I shall ask you, Jamie, what's your take, on the fear of market crash? And a lot of people keep bringing that up. So I just want to hear, how you feel.
Honestly, right, I've been a victim of that fear too. So when I fear, I don't dare to move forward. That's why some of my decisions will snowball over a year or two. So it used to paralyze me. So I remember back in 2008, my first year in real estate, people were already complaining Orchard properties had hit 1,200, that they are too expensive or it's going to crash. And then every dip came, the global financial crisis, which is the result of subprime and Lehman Brothers, right? And the series of cooling measures that was introduced through a 3-year period that causes property to correct. And every time, if you look back the index, right, the drop never lasted long. So even before TDSR came in 2013, when market experienced more volatility. But the objective truth is this: we don't have a crystal ball, and I make my share of imperfect decisions. Bought, sold, upgraded, oftentimes too early. But what kept me moving forward wasn't perfect timing. It was just staying in the game. Not the best result maybe, but it will be the result that I'm content with. That's what makes the real difference.
And I love that. It's easy to say, but staying in a game, I think it really means a lot to a lot of people. And back to what you just mentioned, right? Time in the market is always better than timing the market. So you are exactly correct. So let me share maybe some of the information that we have prepared, okay, to show actually what happened before and after the TDSR. Before 2013, okay, that's where we had this TDSR thing, right? So TDSR, okay, before I even come in, I share with you over here. This was before, okay? So recession really hit hard, and because people were over leveraging, right? So eventually what happened? When something happened, financial crisis, they were forced to sell. And because of that, prices dropped really fast. But TDSR and MSR changed that. They were like handbrakes. So stress test of, what we mentioned, the 3% above market rate, the cap, the borrowing cap at 55% of our income. And what's the result? Even during COVID, GDP came down a little bit, but it recovered very quickly. Right? So our GDP fell by 5.4%, but the private property only dipped by 1.1%, and it quickly recovered. Next one will be something more interesting. Okay, it is about Singapore's GDP growth. Okay, so our GDP growth versus our our price growth. Let me rephrase myself. Our price growth versus GDP and inflation. So over the last 10 years, okay, this is the 10 years data that we are looking at. Property prices grew about 37%, while the inflation only 20%. GDP grew at about 35% in the same period. So yes, property rose, but not wildly above the economic growth. So in fact, okay, it was very clear that there was no bubble that we are talking about. Remember we shared right earlier on that the ownership in Singapore, it is very important. Unlike many countries, Singapore, okay, 93% of private homes in Singapore are owner occupied. So that means that most buyers are not speculators. They are families living in their units, okay. So definitely you can expect less panic selling, more holding power, and that's why even through 2022, this period that we're talking about, okay, where we're still in the COVID period, right? There was a 3.5% rate spike, okay, and the price stayed firm. So Jimmy, your point really stands. The market isn't fragile anymore, and it's not about predicting the next dip. What it's really about is planning so that you don't have to sell during one. I think this is something that after speaking to you, it shifted my mindset. So that's where the KY framework comes in, okay? Stress test, rate lock, okay, buffer up, that peace of mind and not to panic. Right now, Jamie, you can share with us a little bit more on, how you feel about all of this salary and inflation, all these things.
Thanks for sharing with us on all the slides. And just put ourselves and try to in someone else's shoe that had not owned a property. So imagine if our salaries keep up with inflation without owning any appreciating assets. But our groceries, transport, and the expenses for our kids and family, they rise faster.
That is true. Yeah. I remember then we say, 以前100块你推进去 NTUC, right? You can bring out a trolley. Now it's only 2 plastic bag.
Yeah, something like that. So that's how capitalism works, right? But if our money just sits in the bank, it quietly loses value, and then we end up frustrated. And I believe you all can resonate that. Wow, you start to feel resentment or resent capitalism, resent the society, because we are watching our purchasing power shrink away. So, but on another hand, if you could have owned a good property, even just living in it and sitting on the real gains, especially from 2015 to 2024, property rose faster than inflation. Those are not just number anymore. Those are our hedge, you see. And that's your peace of mind in a world that's getting more expensive.
I still want to know, about how you think about the future property prices.
I often got asked this question also, usually, but I'm not like 算命师 or anything that can predict the future. I believe the best way to share my view is to first tell all the people, all the viewers out there that the difference between what is objective and subjective. Okay, objective facts are often straightforward one. So yet our judgment is always influenced by our personal opinion. So which is why a lot of agents out there, when we try to, we know that it is the objective, but we fear of delivering it forward. So we try to package with more 好听的话啦. So the more we say, the more we are being judged. So especially when objective truth doesn't align with someone's subjective view, right? They can be misunderstood as persuasion. So instead, for now, we should focus on the facts for everyone to form your own understanding. And that's why we have also prepared some slides which I've gathered last week while attending our CEO Kelvin Fong sharing. So maybe Kenneth, you can paraphrase and walk us through them.
Correct. Here are the key reasons why property prices are likely to rise next year. So you see, even in times of crisis, homeowners today are in a much stronger position to hold, Jimmy. So potentially allowing our property market to remain resilient and even decouple, from broader downturns. So there is something that I want to share with you, This is something that I saw which was really, really nice. Every distraction delays your success. There are so many so-called gurus out there on social media, giving out all kinds of opinions, but please remember this. If you just focus on yourself, keep doing your best, everything else just become noise.
Then I want to ask you, Kenneth, if you put out this quote, although it's not from you, from Kelvin Fong, I want to say, how do we actually cut out the noise?
Putting. So of course it's not. So we have to focus on objective facts and figures, and this is the slide that we have prepared to help everyone understand what's really driving the market right now. So this is where Kelvin Fong got to come in. Picture this. There is 3 stuff that I would like to share with you. Of course, we have our SORA, our STI stocks, as well as our property price. So when SORA dives down, look at this, like as of now today, right, about 1.35%, the borrowing gets cheaper. And at this point in time, what do family think? You think about this, suddenly, my $2,000 monthly payment now become 1,700. Like suddenly, like I can breathe. 会不会比较可以呼吸嘛？ 对不对？ Probably this is what you hope right now, right?
Yes, exactly. The way you deliver.
I think right now should be quite low. I recently heard. But anyway, So basically, when people suddenly feel that it's more affordable, they start to look at bigger stuff 嘛，会更有钱的嘛，对不对？
Right.
So more buyers enter. So meanwhile, when the STI skyrocket, for example, this year up to 24%, these investors, what do they do next? They cash out. So once they cash out, they definitely feel richer. And the next best thing that they look at, what would it be? Property. And that is why you see, to them, property is a safe hedge. But prices lag a bit. And that's the gap that we are talking about. So history. We'll share with you some history. So the gap always closes. Just like in 2021, right, over here, this period, SORA bottom, you guys can see, right? So STI surge. And what happened? Property jumped by 11% year on year. So, or we talk about 2024, somewhere here, the post-peak rates, property price caught up by 2.8%. Why? Because the low loan rates, the stock wins, and demand boom. Now, let me ask you a question, Jamie. What do you think will happen when these investors were to, now this is where we are at, right? So what do you think will happen when these investors cash out? Where do you think they will put their money?
I mean, the straight answer, I won't want to tell you. Everybody knows. But how can every one of us think differently again? You see, these investors who are in equity or in crypto or in anyway along the line, everything appreciated. Right? They will also fear of what? They fear of crash.
Correct.
So property buyer, before they buy, they also fear of crash.
Correct.
But one thing that is stands out is the equity investor, when they think of crash, right, they cash out. Put into property. So I mean, they put into the same product that the property buyers think that you will crash, they will don't want to put in.
Correct.
I mean, it's just something that it struck me quite uniquely.
You're absolutely right. So you see, sellers will hike sellers are hiking the prices, right? And the launches are selling out. So what is happening right now? So the gap is wide when you look at this. SORA down, STI flying. So what's the signal to us? Prices will follow up next year. It's not about hype. It's just a pattern that we are talking about.
Right. I may also interrupt you about the gap. Maybe because not many of us understand what is the gap that we are talking about. The gap is those investors who are holding equity are going to sell to purchase the property, but they have not purchased yet. So when when this group of people are fully embarked onto property, that's where the gap closes, you see. So that's why right now the gap is still there, and that's where the silver lining is. I mean, for those who already plan to want to buy property, you see.
So next thing that I can share with you guys would be we look at the land prices that we can see over here. Okay, so you see this is all about what Jimmy mentioned just now. The price that Zion Grand was sold at is in the RCR 1002, okay, Promenade Peak, okay, 1003, Penreef 1154. But if you see next year, I look at Lakeside, already sold at 1,132 per square foot per plot ratio. As for Thomson View, also in the OCR, 1178 per square foot per plot ratio. And of course, we have Bayshore 1003, and we know Chuan Grove, all of these. These are all in OCR. So basically, what we can see, okay, OCR will be selling at today's RCR. I'm talking about next year OCR prices. Is currently what we have in RCR. Then next year RCR is going to be selling at CCR prices. And what do you think is going to be CCR selling at? Most likely it's going to be selling at a future high that we don't know how much it's going to be, right? Yeah. And in terms of the unsold supply, it is honestly shrinking very fast. So there will only be one outcome. In 2026, new launches will be priced higher, and it's not an opinion, it's just arithmetic. Suddenly, I remember something that you shared during our team's bi-weekly. I don't know if any of our teammates are inside here, but during the bi-weekly, you mentioned about future Marina Bay area and why resale transactions in Marina Bay are selling at a loss. It's really happening now. So maybe can I invite you to share next time on the next stream?
I don't know, I don't dare. I mean, I have some facts
okay.
But we see about it.
Can. Okay. So maybe next up, right? Okay, what we'll begin to be sharing about will be our framework.
Your framework, right? This is something that really started me, because earlier you shared why buyers trusted your team to secure Bloomsbury, Sky, Dunman, and Canberra. So that confidence didn't come from hype. It came from a clear process, and that is exactly what this 4-step MAPS framework is all about. Macro, area, price gap, and site. To run through these 4 parameters to pick the right projects. So I believe it will benefit all of us if you could just walk us through it quickly.
Definitely. Basically, we have closed 4 projects, right? So this is the framework that you guys have seen time and time again. I'm just going to dissect it down, okay? So in terms of, let's say we use Grand Dunman, all right, for our macro analysis, which is the first one over here, okay? Right. So basically, the macro looks at region supply demand, okay? So when we looked at Grand Dunman, which is in the RCR region, the demand versus supply index for a 4-bedroom, so you can imagine it's standing at 1.0, okay, versus the RCR, which is going at 0.51. So to us, it was very clear. The demand outweighs the supply. So it's a very safe entry and a very strong exit. So basically for the next one, when it comes to area, okay, let's just use Canberra Crescent, okay, as the future demand catalyst is really there. So in terms of area, okay, it checks the future upgrader and transformation. So for Canberra Crescent, listen carefully. There is a total of 51 HDB upgraders, meaning 51 areas in the nearby estate from 2023 all the way to 2028. So there's no oversupply risk because of this with this high demand catalyst that we're looking at. So the area score is actually quite good. There is very high future demand with no visible oversupply from GLS. Next one will be our Sky at Holland. Okay, this is our price gap analysis over here. So price gap compares what? Compares the per square foot, the quantum, to our nearby neighbor. Okay, so Sky at Holland starts at $2,600 per square foot, averaging up to $2,950, right? So with our older neighbors, our One Holland Village residences transacting at $3,000 per square foot in 2023 for a 4-year-old unit without harmonization. So Sky at Holland is about $200 to $300 per square foot below fair value. So to us, right, to our team here, the safe entry with good pricing advantage was quite obvious to us. Okay, and last but not least, Bloomsbury. Look at the site development. Okay, so the site flex layout, okay, what we're talking about is liquidity and accessibility. So Bloomsbury being in the RCR, 300 over units, right? Healthy transaction volumes, sufficient amenities like tennis court, barbecue pit, swimming pools, and despite having no MRT, okay, there are multiple residential plots with commercial in the roadmap and nearby transformation in the greater One North, so there was no red flags to us. So to us, right, people, okay, that MAPS framework in essence, okay, you can take any project, right, run it through macro, area, price gap, and site, and score every part. Once you stack them all together against the rest, the highest total, and that's your edge that we are talking about. So there's no guesswork, just comparison and done. Okay.
I mean, it sounds like how my mother cooked rice. Rinse, add water, press button, done, and one button and the magic happens. Okay. I mean, jokes aside, okay, that proves that your framework helps buyers pick the right unit in any market, spot the true outperformance, and even potentially turn pitfalls into profits. Yeah.
So I mean, for those, don't worry, Jamie. Just like you, right? I know you still got, I know you still got one more name, right? You can use it for next purchase. But anyway, for those that are also, thinking about a particular project for now, okay, just like I mentioned to you, you can throw us any project. Okay, we're just gonna use this particular same framework, okay, to analyze for you the macro, the area analysis, the price gap analysis, and site development, and we can give you that scoring so that you guys out there can make a more sound decision. Okay, at this point in time, of course.
Why not we do it now lah?
We do it now.
Yeah, we do it now because this year we still have one last launch, 2025.
That's true.
The sand, everyone's calling it cheap because ASEA, their land price was
841 per square foot per plot
ratio, right?
Correct.
So okay. I know lah. You run through your maps and what does it say? I saw the video already.
I know. You know what? He purposely want me to use this framework because he still got one more name. So will you buy it?
I don't know. You analyze first.
Okay, so we all do it together. How about we all do it together? Okay, so basically, right, I have already done it already. I can just let me take out the information and share with you. So in terms of macro, the 1 and 2 bedroom demand near Beauty World MRT, it is below the RCR average. Okay, so as for the 3 and 4 bedroom, okay, it is stronger. So our verdict is that in terms of entry, you gotta be just careful, okay, very careful entry. Don't chase the small units. Exit could drag up. So in terms of area for the sand, okay, there is 0 HDB blocks gonna MOP within 2 kilometers for the past 2 years and the next 5 years. Okay, so to us is that there is no natural upgrader wave that we're talking about. So our verdict for that will be a weak future resale. It will fuel that portion. So just be careful. Right, in terms of price gap, our fair value calculates it to be about $2,380 per square foot, and the launch about 21 to 22, about that. All right, so that's the that's below market. So it's a clear goal for us if you hit that range. In terms of site, it's a full condo facility, so I would say it's good. But when we look at Verdale nearby, okay, the supply-demand ratio about 3 times below the RCR average. So the sand may likely face the same pressure. So our verdict for site, right? Site liquidity risk is just be careful. Okay, so overall map score, okay, overall here's the scoring. Some layouts, it's a hard no for us. So, but of course, with the right stack, right price, okay, right size, safe entry and decent exit is still possible. So the question is, would we buy, or rather, can you buy? Maybe after I say you go and buy. So maybe, okay, but only the right unit with the right price. Must be very particular about this.
Fair enough. Yeah. Because the price is really captivating. But
correct.
Of course, running through the match framework, I also need to be more cautious, right?
Yeah. We have pretty much come to the end. Not sure if you have anything else you want to share.
Just my little thoughts, and I want to share this, which may sound contradicting of what we have talked about over the last 1 hour plus. Okay. What I want to say is this: a roof over our head is essential. So choosing an area closest to our parents or for the convenience of our lifestyle, foster harmonies and maintain strong relationships. So we shouldn't inconvenience ourselves chasing for every little nice to have. Like it must have a tennis court, it must be a brand new unit. You see. So if it chasing after those really disrupt our life, so it kind of contradicts ma. Get what I mean? So actually, resale properties can also be a smart way to hedge against inflation, or even those smaller launches that are cheap. I mean, if you can afford and then you get to stay where you want to stay, right? So it's it's also better than not doing anything or no over commit ourselves. And end of the day, a property is still a way to hedge against inflation. Much better than letting cash idle in the bank.
Correct.
And even if the ideal project is out of reach, right, we can always find the next best option by putting in a little effort.
Speaking of which, I can give another example. Okay. So in East Coast, new launches are already over $3,000 per square foot. Okay, but there are many remaining, say 4-bedroom, okay, 5-bedroom in Tembusu Grand, Continuum, Grand Diamond. Okay, they sold for about $4 million for a 1,400 square feet 4-bedroom. Okay, $4 million for 1,004 square feet 4-bedroom. Yet there are still brand new TOP ready small projects, which is just 1 kilometer from Tao Nan. Okay, freehold, 4-bedroom, selling at $2.8 million. And buyers keep saying small project can't sell and no upside. I don't know what you think.
I don't know. Maybe for the next live stream, instead of talking about Marina Bay, we should do a thorough analysis to show that small developments or even resale units can also appreciate in value.
If you guys got any question or whatever we have shared, like we mentioned, throw us any project. We will show you how we score it. Okay. So hopefully you guys, just to learn the concept, okay, not necessarily say you should be going for a project yes or no, but but one thing that I mentioned and what Jamie spoke really well is that at the end of the day, even resale projects could be a smart way to hedge against inflation, much better than letting cash idle in the bank. Thank you very much for joining today. We'll see you guys in the next one. Like our content, subscribe for more.